What if the most wanted serial killer in California history was a cop? What if he was living a completely normal life for 40 years while the bodies piled up? And what if the very thing that finally caught him wasn't a police lineup or a witness, but a family tree from a DNA kit? This is the story of the Golden State Killer, and how a detective with a radical idea solved a case everyone else gave up on. The 1970s and early 80s were a period of great upheaval in the United States. Following the end of the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal, a sense of distrust and cynicism was widespread throughout society. Economically, many families struggled with stagflation, and the energy crisis further heightened people's anxieties. At the same time, new cultural shifts were taking place. Rock music and disco captured the emotions of the youth, and the hippie movement presented a new set of values emphasizing individual freedom and peace. Technologically, the first home computers were beginning to appear, sparking a sense of optimism for the future. It was an era where chaos, anxiety, and new possibilities coexisted. Against this backdrop, California was gripped by fear from the mid-1970s into the mid-80s. An unidentified criminal was committing a series of heinous crimes, starting with burglaries and rapes. Over the years, he earned many different names, most notably the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker. This wasn't just a simple crime spree. He was breaking into people's homes, terrorizing families, and committing dozens of assaults and murders. In total, he was responsible for over 100 assaults and 13 murders. Despite a massive manhunt, the police were baffled. They had a mountain of evidence, composite sketches, voice recordings, and most importantly, DNA. But this was the 70s and 80s. DNA technology was in its infancy, and there was no database to match the killer's genetic profile against. The case went cold, leaving behind a trail of victims and unanswered questions that haunted investigators for 4 decades. For years, the DNA evidence sat in a lab, a silent witness to a horrifying past. But the turn of the century brought new hope. While the National CODIS database was created to store DNA from convicted criminals, the killer was never caught, so his DNA was not on file. Then, a detective in California had a groundbreaking idea in 2017. What if we used consumer genetic genealogy? Instead of just looking for a direct match, this new approach could help them find the killer's distant relatives. Commercial DNA services like Ancestry DNA and 23andMe had built massive databases of genetic information. By uploading the killer's DNA profile to these public databases, investigators could search for family members, anyone who shared enough genetic information to build a family tree. The plan worked. The killer's DNA was uploaded and it matched a fourth cousin. From there, investigators meticulously worked backward, building an intricate family tree. They cross-referenced birth records, obituaries, and public information, narrowing down the list of suspects based on age and location. The suspect's name was Joseph James DeAngelo. To everyone's surprise, he was a former police officer. For 40 years, he had been living a seemingly normal life, hiding in plain sight. In 2018, police collected a discarded DNA sample from DeAngelo's home, and the match was confirmed. He was arrested, and the 40-year mystery was finally solved. He confessed to his crimes and was sentenced to life in prison. The arrest of Joseph DeAngelo isn't just a happy ending to a decades-long nightmare. It's a shocking new chapter in law enforcement. It's a message to every criminal who thinks they've gotten away with it. The evidence you left behind might have a voice, and a family tree you never knew existed could be the very thing that leads to your door. For 40 years, a man walked free. A father, a husband, a neighbor, a killer. His life continued, day by day, while the memories of his victims became a cold case file. Is it more terrifying to know that a monster was hiding in plain sight, or that the person you see every day, the person with a smile and a friendly wave, could be holding a dark secret that time and technology have yet to uncover?